Welcome to another special edition of the OBX Wave Report as we look west in our reports on all things waves, weather, climate, and beach lifestyle. And wow, oh man, have the extreme weather events for our surfer and our beach and our fellow Americans in California been quite intense and extreme over the past days and weeks, and the reports just keep coming in, and they are pretty crazy, guys. We are getting just lots of news reports from CNN and other news sources about flooding, evacuations in California, mudslides, heavy snows, record rains, record waves. I saw a recent report from a news affiliate that really needs to cover climate change more about 45-foot waves impacting the Pebble Beach region. Um, the same news affiliate also needs to stand with democracy a little bit more, in my opinion, but I'm not going to get into that exactly. But in any case, yeah, 45-foot waves impacting Pebble Beach. Reports coming in, so great reporting on that. And then generally, news stations have been talking about weather whiplash in California and the US West, whiplashing from drought to extreme flood conditions. Well, there was one climatological statement recently coming in from some climatologists focusing in, I believe, on the Los Angeles area. Correct me if I'm wrong, but showing that that region over the past 15 days had the third wettest period on record. And we're going to talk a little bit more about rainfalls in this most recent storm system near the Los Angeles area. And I'd also like to highlight a segment from CNN that focused on a climatologist, Peter Gleek, over at Twitter. I recommend you check out Peter Gleek and follow him. He's a fantastic informer on climate. And and Peter Glick in this segment is advocating California to change the way it manages its rivers in order to become more resilient to extreme events that are likely coming down the pipe, in many ways influenced by climate change as well. And Peter Glick in another segment was talking about how there are prevailing weather patterns that tend to create stormy conditions for climate change, for California as well. So some great information and expert analysis by Peter Gleek here on the issue of climate change in California. But climate change generally in the news related to the extreme weather events and the severe weather whiplash in California. And I just encourage you to go and listen to the climate scientists and to hear what they are saying on the issue of climate change in California, and listen to all the nuances related to climate change and extreme weather as we see storm after storm rising up out of the warmer than normal Pacific Ocean. And we see these extreme changes in California weather as it sees very intense drought conditions switching to very intense and sudden hydrological type event. Not yet that I'm seeing, in the reports being like, I don't believe that this is the worst event that California has ever seen, but it doesn't have to be the worst event that California has ever seen for us to, take a look at how the climate is impacting our weather and the tendency for severe weather both in California and around the world. And I encourage you to listen to what the climate scientists are saying, um, and also to just do everything you can to help transition to clean energy to prevent and reduce severe impacts from the climate crisis. I'd also like to point out that we have had some observations from Surfline on record wave conditions. Did talk a little bit about some of the reported news about very large waves at Pebble Beach recently. Also, we've had observations in the last week of record significant wave heights in the let's see, Santa Barbara, San Pedro, Torrey Pines, and Harvest regions of the U.S. West Coast, with significant wave heights ranging from 12 to 27 feet. And apparently, these are record swells for this region of California for this time of year. So these bomb cyclones are breaking wet records both for severe rainfall, severe snowfall, and high waves. And I want to drill down and look at some of the precipitation totals for both the past week and the past day in these series of storms that have been hitting California. And it's worth noting that the near Los Angeles area here is one of the hot spots for heavy rainfall at 13.1 inches over the past week. I'd heard reports that, again, that in this region, they've been experiencing the third wettest conditions on record. And so we'll see how, or if these this news about records changes, or if this holds. But just generally noting that there's high levels of precipitation across California over the past week, ranging from 3 to as much as 13 inches in the hot spots. And I did want to show you the 24-hour precipitation analysis for the most recent storm system that tended to focus more on the central and south central region of California, with the coastal regions getting hit really hard. Looks like 8.2 inches of rain in the past 24 hours for sections of the Los Angeles region. So yeah, so some very severe precipitation in the most recent severe storm striking California. Looking at the National Weather Service radar and present conditions, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. We still have heavy rains sweeping in to California, focusing on central and southern California, and I'm going to go through some of the alerts. And looking at, let's see, which county is this? Let's go ahead and move the dot. And so San Joaquin County, let's go ahead and update this just to make sure we are updated. So for San Joaquin County right now, we've got 4 alerts, which include a winter storm warning, wind advisory, a flood watch, and a flood advisory. The mountain regions are still lighting up with winter storm warnings. And in the western mountain regions in Mona County, we've got a winter storm warning and an avalanche warning. And then for sections near Los Angeles, let's look at Ventura County. We've got flood watches up, and then more coastal sections. In West Lake, we've got a flood advisory, a high wind warning, and flood watches up for that region. And with the coastal waters, we've got small craft advisories and marine weather statements. Heading up the coast in the West Lake, let's see, let's look at, yeah, just off Monterey, we've got a small craft advisory. Looks like we've got small craft advisories and gale warnings ranging on up the coast. So California, again, lighting up like a Christmas tree with all these alerts and warnings as these storm after storm after storm comes off the US West Coast. Looking at some of the weather models, I did want to look at the wave models. Waves have certainly been in the news for California, and today is no exception. In the near coastal waters, we've got 18-foot significant wave heights off of central and northern California moving down the coast. 13-foot significant wave heights in the near Los Angeles region, looks like 7 to 10-foot significant wave heights. So high surf again for California today, although not as extreme as we've seen during some peak periods, but still pretty high waves in association with these powerful storms. I did want to highlight another bomb cyclone out here south of the Aleutians. which is lurking off California yet again. And this one is showing basically, yeah, near, let's see, looks like 49. Let's get in here and look at, see if we can get the hot spot here. Looks like 49.2 is the hot spot for significant wave height. So basically 50-foot-ish significant wave heights in this extraordinary and yet another extraordinary storm system off the US West Coast. This one huge. Just look at this. I mean, this large wave field is basically the size of the US West Coast. So massive storm system here south of the Aleutians, pumping up the waves in the Pacific. And this one is expected to broaden and sweep in toward the US West Coast and interact with California. Looks like on the 12th, which would be Thursday. And let's, gosh, look at these. So we got significant wave heights in the near offshore environment in the 20-foot range, pumping up to, looks like 24.5. This is in the northern Californian waters. And then watch this thing sweep into southern and central California. So significant wave heights in the 12 to 15 foot range, 7 to 15 foot range off of, say 7 to 17 foot range off of the Los Angeles region in the, looks like Friday timeframe. So very severe storms sweeping in. I'm going to go ahead and switch to a cloud model to show you guys where the precipitation is falling right now and where it's expected to fall. And just to show you the progression of storms that is expected to sweep into California over the next few days. So we've got the present storm that is interacting with California causing the severe conditions. Then we have the large system with the large waves off the coast sweeping in on the 11th on Wednesday with a large frontal system sweeping in. Looks like quite a bit of precipitation sweeping into Northern California with the system predicted on Wednesday and Thursday. And then finally pushing into Central California on Friday as another follow-on system then strikes California. Looks like it's going to strike California with rains, heavy rains on Saturday. And let's watch this thing. Just, yeah, it looks like most of California is going to get blanketed, according to the global forecast system weather model on Saturday with rains and stormy conditions. And then we have yet another storm off of California on Saturday, and I don't know if we can get much further into the models, but I'll just go hour by hour as these storms are projected to progress. And yep, looks like another kind of river of moisture type event with a storm system sweeping in toward California on Sunday. So it looks like 2 to 3 more strong storms for California over the next 5 days. And we did talk about some of the longer term forecasts that seem to be showing an abatement and in the severe weather for California over the 8 to 14 day time period. Hopefully this will be the last round of extreme storms for California over the next 5 days, and California will get a bit of a break. Let's hope the longer range models by the Climate Prediction Systems, Climate Prediction Center, showing a predicted tamping down a little bit of the severe weather does occur. But presently, very severe conditions prevailing across California with heavy rains, high winds, reports of mudslides, severe snows, and very heavy surf conditions for the California coast. If you're a surfer and you're getting out there, please be very careful and mind your safety because some of these wave conditions are just crazy. I did want to show you the NOAA quantitative prediction forecast, or NOAA QPF, for California, which is still indicating heavy precipitation conditions for northern and central California over the next week in the range of 3 to possibly upwards of 15 inches total accumulated rainfall if it's converted to rain. And worth noting, the large swath of this precipitation is coming in as mountain snows for the mountain regions as well. So California getting hit again, and climate change is in the news as California is getting hit by storms coming off a rather warmer than normal Pacific Ocean. I'm just going to end here for you guys with the sea surface temperature anomalies for the Pacific. And let's go to the currents so that you can more clearly see the sea surface temperature anomalies for the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, most of the Pacific Ocean in this storm track ranging rather warmer than normal, with a big pool of warmer than normal conditions south of the Aleutians, and most of the Pacific coming in warmer than normal, which produces more evaporation and helps to fuel those storm systems. So a little bit of a climate fingerprint that we might hear some climate scientists talking about later in these systems coming in to California. And I'm going to go ahead and if we get climatologist statements and climate scientist statements on these events in California, I will highlight them for you as we see them. And today we did have an informative series of statements by Peter Gleek. I encourage you to go check out Peter Gleek over on Twitter and to hear what he has to say both about climate events impacting California and how climate change is affecting the extreme weather there, and how California can become more resilient to extreme rainfall and extreme drought as California experiences weather whiplash from drought to flood. So thank you for joining me for another segment of the OBX Wave Report. And this, of course, a special report focusing in on extreme conditions currently impacting California. And everyone there, please stay safe and please listen to your local weather experts and emergency management officials. And also please do everything you can to help transition to clean energy and tamp down the impacts of human-caused climate change, and to help make our coastlines and our communities more resilient, and to provide hope to save them for our future. So thank you for joining me again, and take care.